Um, so picture this, you are under the hood of your car. There's grease all over your hands.
And you are completely panicking because your car just broke down right.
Yeah, exactly. You just need an alternator for your 2015 sedan, and you definitely do not want to read some long blog post about the history of electricity.
No, you have zero patience, right?
Right.
Then you just want the exact solution.
Right. You just want to know who has this part, is it in stock, and will it definitely fit? Which is actually the perfect hook for today's deep dive into some new research from Samyak Online.
Yeah, they are a digital marketing agency,
Huh.
and they are flagging this massive shift,
Well,
claiming the auto parts industry is basically ground zero for the next phase of the internet.
the shift to answer engines, right? Because people are not just typing keywords into a search bar hoping for the best anymore. They are actively interrogating AI platforms.
Right. They're using tools like ChatGPT or Gemini Copilot, Grok Perplexity, and asking them highly specific questions like, find me a compatible brake pad near me.
So we are moving away from traditional SEO, where you just try to rank on a list of blue links, to what the source calls high-intent digital visibility.
Exactly. And that requires a totally different playbook. Samyak Online throws out two new acronyms right away, AEO and GEO.
Which stand for Answer Engine Optimization and Generative Engine Optimization right now. But what does that actually look like for a business?
Well, think of it like this. In the old world, you want to be the top link so a user would click on your site.
But now you want to be the source that the AI actually quotes in its answer, so you do not even really need the user to visit your website.
Right. You want the AI to ingest your data and tell the user directly, just go to this specific store.
That feels a little risky for a retailer, though, right? I mean, if the AI answers the question, nobody clicks through and your web traffic just drops.
That is the catch. But Samyak Online points out that in the auto parts world, the click matters way less than the actual transaction.
Because if the AI says, hey, AutoZone has the part you need, here are directions, the sale still happens.
Right. But to get that recommendation from the AI, you really have to speak its language perfectly.
Which brings us to why this is happening in auto parts. Specifically, the source mentions 4 main drivers: availability, compatibility, pricing, transparency, and speed.
And compatibility is really the big one here, which is where semantic SEO comes into play.
Okay, hold on. Semantic SEO sounds like a bit of a marketing buzzword. What does that actually mean for a guy who is just trying to sell mufflers?
It is less about buzzwords and really more about data structure. So imagine a library where all the books are just thrown in a giant pile on the floor.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare to find anything.
It is, and that is exactly what a normal website looks like to an AI. But semantic SEO, and specifically something called schema markup, is like putting those books on shelves with precise labels.
So you are essentially labeling the data specifically for the machine to read.
Exactly. So you are not just typing the text Honda Civic alternator on your page, you are using backend code to tell the AI this entity is an alternator.
And you are telling it that it is compatible only with these 3 specific model years, and that it is an OEM part and currently in stock.
Precisely. You are hard-coding the relationships between the car and the part. So the AI does not hallucinate and recommend the wrong thing.
Because the source emphasizes that AI platforms absolutely hate ambiguity, right? They do not want to risk giving a bad answer to the user.
Right. If an AI is not 100% sure a part fits, it just will not recommend it at all to be safe.
Now, you mentioned OEM parts earlier, original equipment manufacturer. The notes actually point out that distinguishing between OEM and aftermarket is a huge piece of this strategy.
It is, because the buyer intent is totally different there.
Right. If I ask an AI for an OEM replacement, I clearly want the exact factory part. But if I ask for aftermarket, I might be way more price sensitive.
And the AI uses natural language processing to figure out which type of buyer you are in that moment.
So if a retailer has not tagged their inventory correctly, the AI literally cannot match the buyer to the right product.
Exactly. And there's one last piece of the puzzle here that Samyak Online really stresses, which is EEAT.
Right. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Usually I only hear about that for medical or financial websites, so why does it matter so much for car parts?
Because of the practical stakes, right? If you buy a bad t-shirt, it is annoying. But if you buy a bad brake caliper, your car does not stop.
That is a very fair point. Physical safety is a huge factor there.
Exactly. So AI algorithms prioritize safe answers. They actively look for data signals that a retailer is legitimate. Things like clear return policies, physical addresses, and verified user reviews.
So the days of putting up a vague drop shipping site and ranking #1 just by stuffing keywords are pretty much over.
That is the implication, yeah. You have to prove you are a trusted expert source to get the AI's recommendation.
It really changes the entire game. You are not optimizing for a human browsing a catalog anymore. You are optimizing for a machine that decides if you are worthy of being the answer.
Which leads to what they call the invisible store concept. The user might never actually see your homepage, but they will still buy your product.
Because the AI verified the data and told them exactly where to go, which leaves us with a really provocative thought to wrap up this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
If these answer engines get good enough at verifying compatibility and stock for you, do we eventually just stop browsing websites entirely? I mean, does the retailer's website just become a back-end database that only robots read?
That really is the multi-billion-dollar question right now.
Definitely something for you to think about the next time you ask your phone to find an oil filter for your car. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we will catch you next time.